What parts are interchangeable, and let you be the judge if the GTR should be worth much more than the GTST. Hi, welcome back to CarsAddiction.com. If you're new to the channel, I'm Ryan and we share car-related content every Wednesday and Sunday. Wednesday is a short snippet of any car encounter I come across, and Sunday is a full video of a project I'm doing, one of my cars, or anything car-related. Today we are at Venture Motors to showcase the difference between these two top-of-the-line R33 Skylines, the GTST and the GTR. Now this R33 just has been imported 1 hour ago and is dirty, so I apologize for that. The R33 Skyline was produced between the years 1993 to 1998 with various flavors such as coupe versus sedan, turbo and non-turbo models, and various engines from the RB20 to the RB26. Now, the GTST on my left was introduced in 1993 and was the most powerful R33 at that time, and is an awesome machine in itself. It's 2.5 liter turbo engine, rear-wheel drive, and some of them have the 4-wheel steering. However, in 1995, Nissan introduced the limited edition GTR, the car on your right, and this was a wide-body, all-wheel drive twin-turbo version of the GTST, but with only 0.1 of a liter bigger engine than the GTST. So the question is that the GTR is on average worth double of the GTST in today's market, and throughout this video I'll be explaining the differences between the models, what parts are interchangeable, and let you be the judge if the GTR should be worth much more than the GTST. And please do go ahead and comment below to tell me what you guys think. Now let's start off with the exterior. The front end is completely different between the two cars. The GTR is wider than the GTST and no parts whatsoever apart from the headlights are interchangeable between the two. And even the headlights are not a straight fit as the mounting points are slightly different. Now the bumper we see on the GTR is upgraded Nismo bumper from the 400R, but still the stock GTR bumper is completely different than the GTST model. And none of them would be a straight swap on the GTST. This is because the GTR bumper on a GTST will actually fit in place but will not look correct around the headlights and poke outwards from where it meets the fender. The GTST bumper is immediately recognizable because it has those two fog light outlets on the side of the bumper. So if you see the GTR style bumper on a GTST, most probably it's one of the many aftermarket bumpers that you can buy to make your GTST look like a GTR. Now let's talk about the grille. The grille of the GTST is narrower than the one of the GTR, hence the GTR grille will not fit onto the GTST whatsoever. However, like the bumper, it's common for GTST owners to fit GTR replica grilles made by aftermarket companies, but not by Nissan. Stock with stock both have different design. The GTST grille is flush with the headlight and integrated with the hood, whereas the GTR one protrudes outwards and seems to be thicker in design. Moreover, the non-GTR models have the Skyline badge fixed on the hood, whereas the GTR has it in the center of the grille. The fenders are also different. The ones of the GTR are wider and made out of aluminum, and they won't swap easy on a GTST unless you change a dozen of other things. Headlights are the only part of the front end that is somewhat interchangeable. They have same shape and aesthetics, and only a minor modification is needed to mount where it mounts onto the body. The ones you see on this GTR are the optional factory xenon headlights, but usually GTRs are equipped with the standard ones. The hood is completely different. For one, it's made of different materials. The GTR one is made of aluminum, which makes it significantly lighter than the GTST one. And since the GTR is wider and a bit longer in the front, the hood design has been stretched to fit in accordingly, and there is no way that the GTR hood will fit onto a GTST. Now let's move to the side. The mirrors are identical to all models and can be swapped seamlessly. The same goes for the windshield. The roof line is the same, but the GTST might come equipped with a sunroof, whereas the GTR never came with a sunroof. Both cars have the GT badge on the fender. However, the one on the GTST is white with red, whereas the one on the GTR is silver with red. Now GT means Grand Touring, and in the car world that translates to a car with luxury and performance, which both of these cars deliver. The wheels have the same PCD at 5x114 and are interchangeable to a certain degree. I say this because the GTR has wider fenders, front and rear, and to fill in those fenders you need a different offset of wheels, and will be different from the narrow body GTST. From the factory, the GTST comes with 16-inch wheels, what you see over here, whereas the GTR comes with 17-inch wheels. Now this GTR is equipped with the optional LM GT4 wheels in 18-inch, which in my opinion looks spot on, and I would say both cars would look good in 18-inch. I don't think that 19-inch or larger wheels should be fitted on these cars because they do look out of place. We have the brakes. Now there are different between the GTST and the GTR. The GTST is equipped with the Nissan 4-pot brakes, which is great unit, but the GTR steps it one notch and is equipped from factory with these black Brembo brakes, front and rear. If you see them in another color, most probably they have been upgraded from another car. Since the GTR is wider than any other R33, this skirt actually comes in two pieces. As always, there are aftermarket companies building replica kits so that everyone with a GTS or GTST can make it look into a GTR. The side indicators are clearly different length and thus not interchangeable. Now for the rear, this part of the car is practically the same for both models. The lights, the rear bumper, the trunk are all the same and interchangeable. Now the difference is in the spoiler. The spoiler is different design from both models. The GTST is a bit lower and curvier, whereas the GTR wing is more angular and can be adjusted. However, this OEM GTR wing will swap easily into place on the GTST without any modification. Another difference is badging. We have a GTR emblem here, whereas the GTST has the GTS 25T decal 25 for the RB25 engine. The center garnish is also different. The GTST has a clear plastic, which I think lights up, whereas the GTR has a lighter one made out of metal. The GTR rear key lock can be found under the Nissan badging, and as for the GTST, it does not seem to have one, but not sure if this is like this from factory. Let's get into the interior. Any non-GTR will have seats with headrest, whereas the GTR is the only model equipped with special bucket seats. However, the railings are the same between both models, and the GTR seats can be swapped into the GTST without modification. Now, obviously you know your seats have been swapped over if the previous owner hasn't gone to the extra length in matching the cloth of the door card with the one of the seat. And the GTR seats have those special blue or red, depending what year or GTR you have, door card fabric. The dashboard layout is the same, thus a lot of parts are interchangeable. This also goes for the armrest and center console. However, if we look at the cluster, the red line on the GTST would be different than on the GTR because of the different engines. The GTST red line will start at 7,000 RPM, whereas the GTR is at 8,000 RPM. However, in stock format, both read the same top speed at 180 km per hour. In fact, a lot of GTR owners swap out the cluster for one that is more realistic because these GTRs can reach a top speed of 250 km per hour. One key detail I'd like to point out is that both cars have climate control, but the GTST is positioned on the top with this nudge design into it, whilst the one in GTR was positioned in the middle and is slightly redesigned without that nudge. All this so that they have additional factory gauges on the GTR closer to the line of sight of the driver. And this attention to detail we'll see in each corner of the GTR. Another key detail is the GTS key is your normal key from the 90s, whereas the GTR you are given one made of titanium for that extra bit of occasion. Now let's talk about the engine. Now the engine bay of this GTST is still dirty because it just has been imported about 1 hour ago, and I actually like to see a dirty engine. There's nothing better than seeing a dirty engine because it's an honest engine with no hidden gremlins. The GTST is equipped with the RB25. Now the RB25 is 2.5 liter single turbo engine with rear wheel drive, which is enough for any enthusiast. I believe these cars have 240 brake horsepower from factory and are easily tunable because they're very robust. A lot of off-the-shelf aftermarket parts for these engines can be bought for higher bhp. Now the GTR is equipped with the legendary RB26 twin turbo all-wheel drive drivetrain, producing about 320-340 bhp. The figures are not so clear because back in the 90s they had the gentleman's agreement not to build anything that are over 280 horsepower, so these figures have never been publicly shared. But for sure this car, the RB26, is more powerful than the RB25. Moreover, from standard the GTR has better suspension, but after 20 years or so most probably the suspension needs replacing, and with new technology you could buy better suspension than it had in 1995. Now previously I explained that you could actually make a GTST look like a GTR, but if you want to buy a proper GTR and you don't want to be fooled, there's only one real place to look: the chassis code. Now a non-GTR Skyline R33 will have a chassis code starting with a ECR, and the GTR will start with BCNR. And that's the real difference between the two cars, if someone went to great extent to swap all the body parts on the GTST to look like the GTR, the chassis code. Now what is my opinion on the two? Well, if you want a track weapon or a collector's car, the GTR is well worth the money, especially the R33. Because the R34 has been climbing up in prices throughout the roof. The R33 is still somewhat affordable. There's so many components which is different. This is a wide body car. They only produced about 16,000 units worldwide, and it's known that 30% roughly have been, used for parts or crashed or damaged. So there's only like 70% going around. So that's one thing for the GTR. However, if you don't have the money, I think the GTST is actually a better option. Besides being half the price, it would be a good daily driver. It's much more fun. Rear-wheel drive, single turbo. Less maintenance because there's less components to go wrong. And obviously, since it's cost less, you will be sort of more in favor of tuning the car and make it more customized for you. Whereas the GTR will be think it twice to modify it or anything like that because you want to keep the value there. So I want to hear your comments below what you guys think between these two models and which one you guys are going for. So thanks for watching. Take care.